What is going on, Movie Meals? Movie Meals. This is podcast episode, I think, 45. We are back. This will be up on Monday because I'm going to edit it as soon as I'm done with this.
I'll remind you.
Well, as soon as Kyle's videos get ready for me. But
Forever to
we
load.
decided to use this podcast. If you watched our Challengers review, this podcast is going to be one thing and one thing only, mainly because there's not that much exciting news. There might be exciting news to some that would like to hear our thoughts, but there's really, not much going on. It's May 5th still. We filmed this right after filming Challengers. And we wanted to talk about Call Me By Your Name, our most hated video review I think we've ever had, other than
Easily.
Kyle accidentally calling, the Bollywood Indonesian film debacle could be up there. There wasn't hate
nice
there. They were just correcting you.
Yeah,
they were
nice
correcting you.
it.
So this video, I'm going to go through it. It's been about 6 years, a little over 6, since Call Me By Your Name came out. We reviewed it January 10th of 2018. It's got about 1,700 views, almost 1,800 views. I'll link it. I'm going to link it in this at the end of this video.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. Do you want to watch it on the podcast?
I thought about that, but I just rewatched it.
Same here.
So,
but go watch it for those who...
There are 36 comments, including a handful of replies. I think we replied to almost all of them. They're all 6 years old. Shout out to Jeffrey Miller 30. That's our boy. He's been with us for years and years. Pops up every now and then. Always been a fan of Jeffrey. He gave us a review or a thing that just said, "How dare you?" And he said he was quoting our review of Call Me By Your Name. But here we go. So Kyle and I'm going to give, I don't know if I thanked everybody. Thank you, Movie patrons, Kimberly Carrion. Go get some merch. Help us get to that 2,000. Leave comments. We're going to give a free hoodie away to somebody who does that. But Kyle and I, honestly, I think every year, probably the last 4 years, I would say, 2 years off, we'll have the conversation of, should we rewatch Call Me By Your Name? And we eventually just kind of don't. It's not like sometimes I think we've actually been like, nah, and then sometimes it's like, maybe, and then, and if you've been following along, post-COVID Kyle, radically different cinephile over here. I've got the video up right here. We look so young. That's when we were filming.
So full of life.
We're gonna go through comments. We're gonna talk about the movie. So I'm gonna just say spoilers. Call Me By Your Name's been out for 6 years. If you haven't seen it at this point, we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff. We're mainly gonna talk about the review, the reception, and then our thoughts on the movie now as we both have rewatched it. And there is one, and I will post some of the comments on here, some of the more fun ones for people if you want to read. And there is no shade.
They're all fun to me.
If for somehow anybody comes and back, sees this and they're like, hey, wait a minute, I left that comment. There's no shade. You love what you love. No. We're gonna love what we love, whether our opinions have changed from this point on or not. We'll get to that, but you keep being you. We're gonna keep being us. Be true to yourself. There's no shade.
I appreciate those comments. I will always. I remember the first time we got those comments. I
remember we were laughing
because we didn't expect such big reactions, but also I just genuinely was like, it's cool that people are talking to us about this movie. Like, even if we disagree on it, and they really had passionate feelings about how much they disagreed with us, I really appreciated that they came to our comment section and wanted to tell us about their thoughts on the movie.
We were also very sassy. We were sassy with some of our responses.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm looking for a specific one. We're gonna start with this. Our boy Yan Lil Bro, 5380 or 38, 6 years ago. The guy with the hat's kind of cute. Who is he? Guess what? It's the guy wearing the hat today, baby. He's just as handsome as ever. Man, we were filming on my iPhone back then. That was in college. We didn't have cameras, and Kyle and I were broke college guys. We were spending money on, going out of the bars and just trying to meet girls or whatever.
And that failed, so we went home and reviewed this movie.
Yeah. got the old Force Awakens. Look at the old college days there. But Kyle and I,
Yeah.
we were like, why would we buy a camera when we both have iPhones that can shoot on 4K? Even though I think our quality's dipped as we've gotten older. But I gotta find it. There is. Let me see if I can find which one it was. Oh, I can't remember. Oh, somebody will comments about how. Here it is. This is by Blondie Bear 6 years ago. Again, no shade, but says this is her comment. You're calling this a review, and you're not even able to look up the main actor's name, and instead calling him the main kid. Shows how serious you guys are about what you're doing. Extremely embarrassing. We're using our iPhone to film. We're using the means of things to film. Now, look, Kyle's gonna be like. He's going to be like, "Wait, yes, we could have made it happen, but we didn't."
For the record, I said
care.
the name.
We didn't care. You knew the name.
Should have cared a little.
Timothy.
Should have cared a little.
Chalamet. But like, we also gotta. Sometimes you gotta remember the context when we film. A lot of people put a lot of prep in. Not Kyle and I. Okay, never have, never will. We literally sit down.
Yeah. This is gonna come up as well, probably as we talk more, but a lot of those 18,000 viewers clearly saw our video for the first time and nothing else. So I imagine that they're like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
How do you not know Timothy Chalamet at this point?
So I'm gonna go through and I'll mention the kind of main beats of the video of the first review. Kyle and I back then we were scoring out of 10. Kyle ended up giving it about a 6. I think you said 6, maybe a 6.5. I said 7, but I was leaning towards a 6.5 out of 10, and that's where the hate started. And the big points I remember Kyle and I saying. First of all, we both said we're big fans of Armie Hammer. Man, did that age bad?
Yeah, somehow that aged poorly.
Yeah, it turns out the man was a cannibal. That was when like Free Fire I think had come out around the same time and stuff.
Probably
and we were getting into film more deeper, Social Network a few years before that, and
we started this channel like almost a year ago at this point. Like we were fresh off
Armie Hammer sucks. Nobody knew back then. We didn't know. Armie Hammer sucks.
I think that part we're okay with. I think we're safe
no, that's fine. We're safe everywhere. The biggest takeaways were, one, we didn't think the chemistry between them was that strong. We both kind of said that as a negative. We didn't think the chemistry was very good. We talked a lot how there were scenes we really liked, where especially at the end, the conversation with the dad that we both really liked. We both agreed that the movie was a little too long and felt it dragged in its pacing. I don't remember if you agreed with me. I think you did, but I said I thought the weakest part of the movie was the script. Myself at the time, again, this is all stuff we said 6 years ago. We talked how Timothy kind of just complains the whole time. We also were clearly very, and I didn't even say it as much in that video as I have over the last 6 years.
Oh yeah.
I only kind of briefly mentioned it, but and this is just Kyle and I think being ignorant when we were, in our early 20s too. The movie is definitely more bisexual and has much more bisexual tones than it does. We referred, we didn't refer to anybody or anything bad at all, but we talked about how the movie, we both agreed that the movie had scenes that was just that didn't feel natural. That is what we talked about in the old review, that we talked about how they kind of just were trying to beat you over the head to remind you that Timothy is gay, is what we said in that video at the time. Looking back, rewatching it now, it was, I don't know why we just didn't use the term bi. I don't know. We were just, we were just being idiot boys in college who were learning, but
we really weren't surrounded by, those, what am I trying to say? We weren't surrounded by those, by that idea of bisexuality for sure. We know of people that are, but at that time it was us being young and not understanding the full spectrum that is LGBTQI. For myself, I would say that that's a big component. Like it was definitely naivety when it comes to
we also
those aspects.
we compared it a lot to Moonlight. Moonlight had come out the year before. We talked about how this movie would have been on the heels of Moonlight, trying to kind of capitalize on the love Moonlight got. We talked about in that video.
Sure.
And I honestly don't think that's a negative criticism today, to be honest. I think they are compared, but I think that's probably the reason we ended up focusing more on the word of gay over bisexual and talking about it the right way, because Call Me by Your Name is much more focused on just two men, and this is focused a little bit kind of all over the place.
Right.
And
which was wrong for us to pigeonhole it that way, I would say. Like that wasn't
I mean, yeah, but it's not like I don't think we come across as, idiotic film, like frat film boys who are like they have boys kissing. I don't think we view that way. If you view yourself that way, that's fine. If you view me that way, then you're just not even being nice.
I would for myself. Like I don't view myself back then as that way because I know myself.
You weren't.
But thank you. But I would understand if someone came into that video, saw that, and they would pigeonhole us that way.
Yeah, no, we should have used better terminology, but I'm not going to sit here and be like it's one of my biggest regrets of my life. It's not.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I understand.
And then the other thing is too, we also at the very end, there's a couple comments that say we compare the movie to Logan. We don't. We talk about how there are other big movies. Some of them happen to be superhero that are trying to go in a serious direction at the time, like Logan. That's it. That's the mention. We talk about how there's a lot of competition. No. It wasn't even a comparison. That's not what was said. And I said it, but that's not what I said. I said we'll see if it ends up getting a ton of Oscar buzz because there's a lot of heavy hitters. And most recently, I'm assuming we had seen Logan. And I said movies, and we say a couple movies. I think we say two. I can't remember the other one for some reason. I'm not going to look it up because I'm just as lazy as I was 6 years ago. But I know I briefly said you look at a movie like Logan. Like Logan is a movie trying to be more serious, and at the time was considered to maybe have a lot of Oscar bait. That's it. I just said we'll see what happens when Oscars roll around because more movies have some competition in there. It was it wasn't comparing Call Me by Your Name to the movie Logan. It was comparing their Oscar opportunities. Call Me by Your Name, I don't even think it got a ton of Oscar love other than, I think it only 4 nominations.
I mean, Best Picture, Best Actor,
yeah,
maybe Armie Hammer
probably
got
a
supporting
script. I think he
adapted
did.
Screenplay, probably
won Oscar. Let's see.
Did it not get cinematography? I would be shocked if it didn't get cinematography. That would have been crazy. So that's 5 nominations there. Logan only got best.
Fine.
Logan only got best adapted screenplay, I'm pretty sure. So, I mean, it probably was being considered for Oscars, but not to the level that Call Me by Your Name was.
It was nominated for music written for a motion picture. It was nominated for best motion picture. It was nominated for best adapted screenplay and best performance by an actor in a leading role for Timothy Chalamet. No, it did not get cinematography.
Well, that is shocking.
Well, I think you should. Yeah, let's look up what else came out before we say it's shocking.
That movie's gorgeous. It's so.
Let's see.
The cinematography of that movie is amazing. And Call Me by Your Name. I don't know. I think out of all the movies to choose, Logan probably wasn't the wisest, but I understand the point you were trying to make. But Call Me by Your Name was easily gunning for way more Oscars than.
Oh, I mean, the movie was. Yeah, but again, at the time, it was just us. Like, I was just saying I just happened to pull that name out of my hat. Like, that's just the name I said. It was probably the most recent movie we had seen since. And I was like, I think this will also get some buzz. I don't know why. I don't know. We got roasted for it. It's like, I think people are looking too deep into what I said. They took it as a comparison of the two movies, and that's not what I said.
It was probably the cherry on top that made everyone lose their minds, to be honest. Because they were probably so frustrated until the end, and then that's the cherry on top.
How long ago was 4 years ago? 2018. That's what I thought. Why am I not seeing it on here?
Would that be the 2017 Oscars, though?
That's what I was just looking at.
I always forget how that works. Is it like the year of the movies and then...
Let's see.
Because it comes the next year. The Oscars comes the next year. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm at least happy, like in our old review, that I said the cinematography was amazing in that movie, because that still obviously holds up after rewatching Call Me by Your Name. Like, not only does it just show like a beauty within summer and like a beauty of finding first love for the first time, like it's just like such a, it feels like part of the season. It feels like part of like the feeling of love throughout that movie, and then just the colors are popping in there. The cinematography is very impressive in terms of like showcasing its themes, and um, yeah, Guadagnino I don't think has come close since then in terms of like what he does for making that movie look as amazing as it does. Even though I just praised
Oh, here it is.
the
I just missed it.
cinematography in Challengers, a review we did just recently. But
2018, Timothy lost out to Gary Oldman in The Darkest Hour. Oh, that's a tough year. He's so good in The Darkest Hour. And there was Denzel Washington, Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out, Daniel Day-Lewis for Phantom Thread.
geez, Daniel Day-Lewis, and
That was the 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri, too. This was a good year. I remember this being considered a pretty stacked year. Cinematography went to Blade Runner 2049. Absolutely, it deserved to be Blade Runner 2049, and I like a lot.
that's tough.
Blade
That's
Runner's
tough.
insane. But also the nominees in cinematography are Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, Mudbound, and Shape of Water. I think you can argue Mudbound, pull that out.
Honestly, I say Darkest Hour, right?
Darkest Hour was so good. I don't know if
I
you
don't
ever
remember
saw it.
cinematography very well.
Did you even see?
Yeah.
Oh, this is also Shape of Water. How is Shape of Water not in there for cinematography? Oh, it is. Okay, good.
Yeah.
But okay. So those were our thoughts then. Let's go
That
through
might
the
have been
comments
snubbed,
first.
I'm gonna be
Let's go
honest.
through. Yeah, I think I don't know if I ever ended up seeing Mudbound, but I'd have to see it. But I feel like the rest of those I would keep in there. I mean, Blade Runner by far deserves to win, but I wouldn't move Shape of Water or Dunkirk. I probably wouldn't move Darkest Hour. It would have to be that Mudbound. But I don't know. But let's go through the comments. So I'm gonna go from bottom up here. So, I don't know if I want to pronounce everybody's name here. Leon Gatsum 6676 said, I'm 100% with you guys. The chemistry is so fake. Even in some scenes where you can see Army very uncomfortable. Enough reason for his snub at the Oscars. Great novel, but badly executed script. By the way, the guy with the hat is cute. From Argentina. Hey, we appreciate
That was a good year for me. I guess people thought I was cute
Kyle,
that year.
I've never been the cute one. I'm always the annoying one.
What a lie.
Then we've
Stop
got our
it.
boy. I read his a little bit ago. Let's see. We're going up here to Trey Tara Ta 8000. You guys are so childish. Even the comments agree. Chill down. Go watch Twilight or something like that. A disastrous that I can't even read this comment. A disastrous that y'all event got to have the opportunity to watch a movie that is fine like wine like this, to call themselves movie reviewers with knowledgeable as such, ... No. I'm reading these word for word, by the way. That was edited. What are we doing here, my guy? Some of that is still tough to read.
Wrong.
I'm just going to be honest.
Here's the thing. Don't think of YouTubers as movie critics.
Think of movie critics as movie critics. Find pundits you like and just listen to what they have to say. Don't hate
That's something I've learned over the years. Most YouTubers that do this aren't, I would classify as movie critics personally. Yeah, and we definitely aren't movie critics either. Still aren't. But hey, they don't know.
I got to zoom in for this one here. It's a deep one. There's a lot here. This is by Jason Ding 5982. There are so many things you said that I cannot disagree with more. Comparing Moonlight to Call Me by Your Name, the only remote resemblance is both characters are gay. Or in Call Me by Your Name, they are labeled as bi by some people. Mm-hmm. I don't think you truly understand the movie at all, which is fine as I appreciate it is not everyone's cup of tea. If you are only interested in expressing a different point of view, it's better be convincing. I didn't hear any substance from your so-called review, and you jumped to a rating so that you clearly stand out from the rest of the public opinions. I saw this movie twice in the movie theater, and each time I was touched and inspired, and the movie is still haunting me today. There's another movie review I saw on YouTube where the commenter said, if there's someone walking out of the movie theater and disliked this movie, there's something wrong with him. I'm going to stop this right there. There's nothing wrong with anyone for walking out of a movie theater for not liking it. Like what you like, don't like what you don't like. get over yourself if you think people should agree with your opinions.
Mhm.
I'm going to continue. Maybe something wrong is a bit too harsh. Thank you. But definitely something missing from him. I don't think you should complain about not enough Oscar contenders made to the movie theaters nearby you. I'm sorry, we lived in a town of like 30,000. I now live in a town of like 8 million, okay? It's a different vibe. Anyway, your taste and intellectual sophistication are self-explanatory. I do apologize for my harshness, but I can't help it. I just can't help loving the movie and going all the way to defend what I love. Hey, defend what you love. Just you know, you can be a little bit nicer. But
I thought
anyway,
he was already pretty nice, to be honest.
well, he did call us idiots, basically. He called us, your taste and intellectual sophistication are self-explanatory. He's saying we're stupid and we like bad things to him. But anyway,
again, if it's your first video from us and we starting out from a year ago, I can see how we look a little naive in terms of understanding the subject matter. I don't think
there is some naive in there. There is some how do you say that? Naivete, whatever. There is some in the movie, but I'm not gonna come. I'm not. I mean, Kyle, if you want to say you regret saying those things, go for it. I don't regret saying anything. There's nothing wrong in our original review at all. I honestly was surprised. I thought there would be, and there wasn't.
We were. I remember being very kind for us, despite us not enjoying the movie. That's for sure. I think just years later, just separation from the whole thing, I just came back to it and I was like, I can understand how a person who first sees this video would think of us in that light. Like, I don't blame them. Like, I'm not
sure.
questioning, like, why do they not think we're smart? Like,
I'm not either.
I can see where they're coming from.
Just be a little kinder. No reason to call us stupid. Just say I disagree with you. Here's my reasons why. That's it. There you go.
Sure. It could have been a lot worse for me. I thought that was a nice one.
Gary Glazer, 4998. Yeah, no offense. Let me start over. Yeah, no offense, guys, but I have to agree with most of the comments here. You don't really seem knowledgeable enough about cinema to have an opinion worth listening to at this point. Sorry. Plus, I believe Call Me By Your Name does require a certain amount of emotional maturity in order to get it. Maybe revisit it in a few more years after you've had a little ... I hope you're here, Gary. We've missed you. We're back.
Yeah, Gary.
We're back.
Again, one of the nicer comments, so I hope we do see Gary around.
I'm going to read the replies. You and I replied, "You're totally right. Thank you for the comment. We will head over to film school as soon as possible in order to make sure we agree with everyone all the time."
That was so you.
I never did anything without your approval. They responded, "Alexa, stop the timer." Thank you. This is their response, Gary. It's not about agreeing with everyone all the time. It's about not sounding like you don't know what you're talking about. But like I said, maybe a little more life experience is all you need. Replied, couldn't agree with you more, with a smiley face. Thanks again for the amazing comment. Keep loving movies. They said, "Oh, you're amazingly welcome. Keep at it. Practice makes perfect." And then I said, yes, it does.
I think that last one might have been the sarcastic one.
Which one? From him or me?
From him.
Oh.
Otherwise, I think he was being genuine and not saying anything I don't disagree with.
I'm not saying anything isn't genuine. Here's the next one. By Core, I think that's how you would say it. 7438. What an idiotic review. Critic and audience consensus alike is that the film is a sheer masterpiece. And having seen a very broad array of brilliant films, I would easily agree. For you to feel, in quotes, underwhelmed by this work just shows your sheer lack of understanding of the art of cinema, and I genuinely hope that you two either begin to That's it. We said we're doing our homework right now. They responded, "Geez, upon second read, I see I really ripped you guys, lol. I definitely phrased my opinion a bit harshly. I may not agree with all your assessment, but I didn't mean to come across as rude or patronizing. Really, I'm sorry for that. I sometimes comment here quickly without a filter, in spite of my or anyone's strong opinions or critiques." That is my favorite commenter so far because they were a bit harsh. I think some of these are just like are you saying anything wrong? No, but there's a nicer way to put it, and I appreciate that our core here is went back and was like, oh man, I didn't mean to say it that way. I appreciate when people are human beings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really nice
we already went over the guy with the hat is cute. We don't need to glaze Kyle anymore. Elfo334 said, great review, guys.
Come on.
Next one is from, we have one great review, guys, with a smiley face. Then we have Cole4711. No chance of subscribing to this channel.
Oh, we can tell. Yeah.
We said, we're sorry to hear you don't like us due to our views on a certain movie. We hope you continue to enjoy movies and enjoy what you love. And they did not respond.
Oh, that was what you said. I was like, why did he say that?
Elfo334 has returned after the great review, guys. Commented again. I agree with you. Although I liked this movie a lot, in the book, you're more aware of Elio's attraction to Oliver because of the self-monologues of Timothée Chalamet's character. I think that's what is missing in the movie. I like the language switch and was the main reason I liked it. And the scene with the father was really good, in my opinion. My favorite comment so far, because they are agreeing, disagreeing. He's throwing a lot in there, saying, here's what I like from the book. See, that's a conversation. I enjoy those. All right, here we go. We're getting into we got a few left here. Spoilers is what they wrote here. Yes, it was underwhelming. Oh my God, finally someone sees it that way. Elio never really has any consequences for the, excuse my language, shit he does. He is pretty mean to the girl, and she's like, oh, well, you effed me and then ignored me. Let's be best friends. Then he never gets in trouble for sniffing Oliver's shorts. Like, imagine if you guys were depicted sniffing a girl's panties and he's not in a relationship with. Also, Oliver was a douchebag that just used Elio for sex and ditched him. If Elio didn't have perfect parents that are so damn supportive, he would have been broken AF. As for the ending scene, it actually wasn't just about Elio being sad. It actually starts to realize he should not be sad over that Oliver left, but be happy he got to experience it. I also love the music, especially the songs by Sujan Stevens. I believe that's how you would say it. Sujan Stevens. I think that F is silent. What this movie did wrong is not really show the time period and why two guys were so scared, because it wasn't like they could be openly gay back in the 80s, especially because they're in Italy, right? Or France? France or Italy? They're in Italy, right?
Italy of 1980s, yes.
Yeah, and they're, different cultures. Sorry I have to disagree about Logan, though, because it was mediocre. Logan is nowhere near as good as the hype around it. Next, we have Fantasy Namirian. This movie isn't for everyone, I understand. It's subtle and the pace is very slow and nothing much happens in terms of events. But I believe that this is because it's a romance movie that focuses on relationship, not because it's boring or slow movie. But personally, it's my favorite movie of the last decade or so. I've seen this and then it gets cut off. I like this one because they're telling me what they like and, how they feel about it. That's what I enjoy. You're next, we're moving up to Blondie Bear. You're calling this review, and you're not even able to. We already did that. Look up the main character's name and instead calling him the main kid. That's a funny one. All right, we got three left here. Let's get to them. Yuko 1976. The fault is the script. I beg to differ. I thought James Ivory did an amazing job creating a script from the book, which was told entirely from Elio's perspective. James Ivory has also just won the Critics' Choice Award for Best Adapted Screenplay, and I will be very surprised if he didn't win the same at the Oscars. Is that what they won? Was it writing? Winner, yep, adapted screenplay.
Yeah.
So, okay, fair enough.
I almost said Get Out, but that was original and not the same year, probably. No, it was the same year. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
But probably for original that it won.
Maybe I'm biased since I've read the book, but your criticism of scenes being slow and long are rather inaccurate. This doesn't have the typical Hollywood-style character arc development. Instead, it focuses on the character's emotions and for the audience to interpret and understand Elio's thoughts when there is no dialogue. Your so-called slow and long scenes. It is the most authentic film I've seen for the year without all the typical Hollywood gimmicks. But then why am I explaining this to someone who raves about Logan? See, you had me, Yuke. You had me until the end. You took a shot, okay? There's no reason to take shots. That's not even. That was a great critique. You're explaining your thought. That's what I like to hear. I've been fed up with that lately in general, of people not telling me what they like or dislike about the movie. They tell me something different. It's been driving me nuts. Jupa Berber. I totally see where you're coming from. In order to fully appreciate the movie, you need to be cultured, cultivated, sophisticated, and academically intelligent. Unfortunately, you guys just are not. Cheers. See that one? Yeah, he just showed up and said, "Hey, you guys are stupid." And then he laughed.
I like that comment.
They're as funny as they've ever been. Last one here, curious. Bastian. Philistines reviewing an art film is always painful to watch. Well, good thing Kyle's fully into the art films now. You're not going to find a bigger fan of auteur film creations than Kyle over here. But before we do that, now that we've talked about the reviews, I want to talk about the movie again, and we can do that spanning off these reviews. But before, I want you to guess how you think my opinion has changed, and then I'm going to guess how I think your opinion has changed. And then we'll tell.
I think you still stand by what you said. I think you would rate it.
What you mean?
I think I could see not much of your opinions from the review changing to today. I think maybe you would give it more of a 6 rating like I did if we were doing the rating system again. I think you would bump it down, but otherwise I think you still are about as even keel about the movie as you were back then.
Okay. I think you love the movie, and I think you are going to backpedal on all the points you made, and I think you're going to say how this is a brilliant example of cinema at its best, and there's a part of me that doesn't like I'm saying that, because there is a part of me that thinks your opinion hasn't changed. But I think at the end of the day, you have kind of delved more into auteur filmmaking, and I think you're going to end up appreciating a lot more about this. And I think your rating, which I am going to make you rate it out of 10. We're going to go old school because that makes it fun. I think you're going to end up giving it closer to an 8 to an 8.5 out of 10.
Then I would say the second half of that, you are correct.
I knew it. Second half. So you stand... So the first half, I said you will go back on a lot of your thoughts. So you're not going back on a lot of your thoughts, but you appreciate the movie more.
And you would think that I would think it's brilliant.
So you think it's just good.
I give it a little better than good, but I would not call it brilliant.
All right, I think this would be more fun. Give me what you would score it right now after rewatching it at a scale of 1 to 10. I know you hate scores, but I want you to do it. Be objective. Everything is at play here. Your personal feelings, the former reviews, things we said, things we didn't. What do you think?
I gave it a 6 back then. If we were doing the system now, I think I would bump it to a 7.5. I think I would do that.
I would also give it a 7.5 out of 10.
And yours was a 7, bumped to 7.5. Okay.
I think 7.5, I think is fair. I'll go first. You were right. I don't really. I changed some of my thoughts. I actually have a bigger critique of the movie that we never even touched on. And it's probably just due to my age, because we do age like fine wine. I don't sit back and view our review, especially after just rewatching it. I don't sit back and look at it as... I do think some of our wording could have been better. I think at the time we were old enough to know how to word some things better. But that's it. I don't think we honestly sound as unsophisticated, especially when I gave it I gave it 7 back then. My rating is about a half higher. I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's his best. I think Challengers is quite a bit better. Go watch that review.
I like Bones and All the most, maybe. Weirdly.
I think I like Bones and All more than this too. My biggest issue is I've just gotten older. I teach little children. I'm around high school age kids a lot. It's uncomfortable. I'm surprised that I don't remember that being a big negative. He's supposed to be 17 and he's supposed to be 24. That's disgusting. Now, that's disgusting to me as someone who grew up in America. I know there's a lot of, I know they're in Venice. I know Italy's got their own cultures, their own way they handle things. I know there's a lot of French in the movie, and I think they've got a very different culture too. What?
These two characters, I don't think are American. Like Oliver's clearly American. I don't think.
Yeah,
Elio...
no, he is. He's He's not. He's not American.
So they're also it's still the mindset of like America 1980s in terms of like how to view sexuality that isn't heterosexual.
Yeah. No, I think
so. For me, like the age gap thing isn't just like in Italian things are different than 1980s type of thing. Personally, because these are still like American.
That's not even what I'm. That's not what I'm saying. Well, no, the only American is Armie Hammer. Everyone else isn't an American character.
Is Elio Italian?
He's either that or French. I don't think he's supposed to be. And now the comments are you unsophisticated, intellectual people. I haven't looked up enough research, but
I don't catch an accent off of Chalamet, so I just. Even though he says like they speak Italian and French, like it doesn't read as that to me.
I thought they said a line of dialogue, but I watched the movie a week and a half ago, so I don't remember. But we have the ability to look it up now.
Yeah, let me look it up.
But my point isn't even that that because it's in Italy or wherever that it's okay. That's not what I'm saying by any stretch of the mean. I'm just saying
French Italian. Okay, so he is French Italian, not American.
Yeah,
for some reason I just don't catch an.
Did you look up Timothée Chalamet or the character?
The character.
Because Timothy's also French. He's actually French, I believe.
Why do I not catch French accent? I'm weird with accents.
I don't know why you need an accent so bad. I don't think they ever intended that.
I don't know. Like if you say you're French Italian.
That doesn't matter. My point is, what I'm saying is, I grew up here. I've now, it's been 6 years since we've seen this movie. But like, if you are watching this review and you're from Italy or France and you're like, no, over here, it's a lot more freeing and a lot more open. I like the movie because of that. And I understand the culture. Yeah. That is where like, okay, makes sense. I'm not from that culture. It is weird. I think it's gotten weirder now that I'm older and I have seen Timothy get older. And now Timothy, I'm watching him where he looks so young and Armie Hammer looks old and Armie Hammer's a cannibal. That doesn't play anything into my actual movie, but it is creepy. Yeah. But I loved the father scene more. I thought that was as brilliant. Yeah. I appreciate the ending more of him crying. I think it is more impactful than we kind of touched on then.
Definitely.
And I think there's a lot more layers to it than people realized. And even I realized at the time. And again, it's not, I think there are. I do maintain some of it. I think the pacing isn't great. I do like the cinematography. I think the script is better than I gave it credit for. I said the script is the biggest weakness. I don't think that anymore. I still kind of think the character work isn't fantastic. Timothy doesn't whine as much as I built it up in my head over 6 years. He doesn't whine nearly as much, but he does. He does kind of complain about everything. Would. He does act like a teenager. I'm older now. Teenagers annoy the heck out of me. So, and I'm not saying he annoyed the heck out of me. He didn't. Some of his actions, though, felt not typical teenager to me rewatching at times. Some of them did feel like it was like I don't even know how to word it. It just didn't work for me. Sometimes it did. Sometimes it didn't. Sure. I remember going into it being like, when's the peach scene going to happen? Cause it was such a big deal back then. It's weird. It's a weird scene as a, I didn't find it lovely or, I also was a male who went through puberty and I don't know. I
don't view that scene as lovely personally. I don't view it like that. So.
Well, so I don't either. So if I was supposed to view it a different way, I didn't end up with that. I do still think, at the end of the day, Timothy, he does kind of complain a little bit about not getting all the things he wants. I still think that is a valid point and fair. And I still think he's a little bit not relatable. I do think, though, that the movie is very good at showing some of the complexities that I will never go through in my life because I'm not bisexual.
Hmm.
And I think that is very important. And back then, we didn't outright say that, but I can promise you it's not something we didn't agree with or believe with at the time.
Yeah.
Um, I would, if I'm comparing it to Moonlight, I still think Moonlight's a better movie, and Logan. But I didn't even compare it to Logan. I was just for giggles. But yeah,
Yeah.
what were some of your thoughts then, pal? Because I mean, some things were amped up a little bit for me, but some things didn't really change.
I'm trying to think where I should start. Do you want me to piggyback off of some of the things that you were saying, or just
Yeah,
start off with my
sure. I
own
don't
thoughts?
care. Do your own thoughts, whatever you want, man. Just talk.
I'll just get the age gap thing out of the way. Watching the movie, for some reason, I wasn't really bothered by it. I guess only because I one had the context that it was 17 and 24 as like the age ranges, which I'm not saying is like an okay like frame of time for like an age gap relationship, but I think like I'm just was able to separate real life from a movie personally, so like I just wasn't really thinking of it in that way. I was just thinking of like how the story was trying to present itself with like this context. But I do think even though Army Hammer was good in the movie, it might have been a bad miscast because that man, despite trying to play a 24-year-old, just is gonna look 30 or 40. Like he's looked that way forever. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
just think they should have found like a probably a mid-20s actor, or maybe even like I don't know if you really want to have a 30-year-old actor, but at the very least get someone that's a bit more baby
Look,
face, like someone who is in college. You know what I mean? Like
look. I
not
want to
this
bring up one.
jawline Batman looking dude.
I want to point out one thing here, and Kyle and I have very different viewpoints on a lot of things. Like I'm around kids a lot. I think about kids a lot, so I tend to think a little different. But it
Yeah,
was the
totally.
scene where, and it's literally like 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. I think it's 4 days later when they're in the pool because he sleeps for the first 3 days and then they're swimming in the pool.
Hmm.
They've barely talked, and I just remember thinking when he walks up and he starts massaging his shoulder and they're both shirtless and he's really close to him. I remember my thought was if Timothy Chalamet's character, if Elio was my son and I was sitting at that pool or in the house and I saw that, I'd walk out and I'd beat the living shit out of Army Hammer. And I know I can't take Army Hammer. I would beat the living shit out of him because
You
that
sure
is
would try.
inappropriate. It's weird. And that's just me and my perspective. I think there are better ways, and I think this is part of the reason of this critique of the story, because I think of a movie like Licorice Pizza that got a lot of flack for a similar kind of vibe,
Hmm.
and they flipped the genders too. It was a younger boy and an older woman.
Yeah.
But I think if you flip the genders here and it was two girls, it would still be, I would feel inappropriate. If it was a boy and a girl or a
Could
girl
be.
and a boy, whichever way you want to put the ages and put the characters, I think it still comes across weird and inappropriate. That's just my own take. And I think there
Sure.
are better ways to tell that story. It's easier to make Elio. You could have said Timothy Chalamet was 20 in that movie and I would have believed you. I would have been like, man, he looks good for 20. But
Yeah.
that's all you need. That's all you need. Even 19 is a stretch, but still, especially with Army Hammer, who looks 34. If you get an actor like Kyle saying that looks a little younger, maybe it
Hmm.
doesn't have the same feel for me. That it is a negative for me for the movie on this rewatch, and I never had that thought the first time. But it feels weird. It feels off, and I
Sure.
think. I don't know. Like if my son came out to me as bisexual, wanting to explore feelings, I don't know if I would have a conversation of, yeah, you should go after the 24-year-old man who looks like he's 35. I
Yeah.
feel like I would be like, why don't you try to date like let me, like let's help you find someone closer to your age that you can explore these ideas and themes with. But that's just me.
Yeah. I don't think you're alone nowadays in terms of that because I decided to just do some digging and see some other videos about what people love about Call Me by Your Name, just because I was curious on, some of the themes or some of the things that they noticed about like the filmmaking of this movie. Because the technical stuff was what I really was noticed and blown away by it on second watching. But I did see a lot of like younger YouTubers coming up. Some of them are like more movie commentator type people, not so much like trying to be in the critic space or whatever. But I did see a lot of like of the younger Gen Z crowd reacting and watching this movie, and then every headline of their video was the same. Like, Call Me by Your Name might have some problems with it, with like the shirt tug, because they're talking
Yeah.
about the age gap thing in general. So I do think they understand like the movie is like diving into like this sexual exploration and coming of age in terms of discovering your sexuality, your bisexuality, what have you. But I think they also see the age gap thing, and they also probably think the same way that you do. So for some reason, maybe in 2016, that just wasn't really what we were thinking of at the time. But nowadays, it's becoming
we were
more.
also kids. Yeah, we were a lot
Well,
younger.
well, also maybe just in terms of like older people watching this movie too, that just might not have been thought about for some reason. I don't know, because I certainly don't remember that being talked about like what I saw today scrolling through YouTube and stuff.
Sure. What else did you think about the movie? You said you liked the technical aspects.
Yeah, especially the cinematography. I'm glad that was the one
pretty.
big takeaway I had from the last movie. And I was kind of mentioning it earlier in this video that I was blown away by really how it makes you feel, that feeling of like first discovery of love, or the feeling that you get of like summer and being away from it all and just being in your own world, in your own like comfort, in your own comfort space, in your own bubble, and just like feeling alive in terms of your discovery of it. But also there was just plenty of things within the cinematography that showed like the push and pull and like the wanting, but having this separation that's not talked about between Elio and Oliver, that I thought was really impressive. Because I remember talking about this movie for the first time with you, I really liked that aspect of the movie where it showed Elio and Oliver like, and their competitive, flirtatious dynamics that they had going on, leading to them getting together. Like I really liked the separation of those two longing for each other, and them showing like kind of in a weird male sort of way, like trying to one up each other in order to like show what they mean to each other. But yet and those were where I really saw like the powerful performances come into play. And I thought the cinematography like also does a really good job at showing like them being separate but together at the same time. But
you're filming in Italy, it's not hard to just put a camera down and then you got a beautiful landscape. I'm just kidding. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. Kyle and all the commenters. Oh my God, Alex thinks it was a joke. It was a joke. The cinematography is great.
Yeah, it is. It is gorgeous stuff to look at. Music's
very
beautiful
good
to listen to as well.
The music was very good.
But I also was seeing elements where I don't fully understand it quite yet, but just discussions of their religion coming into play when it comes to I don't know, it felt like the discussions of religion were coming into play that were conflicting with whether they were hiding their sexuality or letting it come out a bit more over time. Like noticing that Elio comments on Oliver's necklace with the star that I'm spacing on the name of, unfortunately, which is really bad. But he's wearing that necklace, and then as their relationship grows, Elio also decides to wear his as a response. Again, not something that I'm really understanding it fully quite yet, but I just appreciate that for some reason. Like just one of those things that I never thought of when watching the movie last and seeing it now. And it just goes to show that like there is a lot of thought that got put into this script, and a lot of thought that got put into like what to show, which
is it the Star
I really
of David?
appreciated more.
Wasn't it the Star of David?
Yes. Yeah. Forgive me for
the Jewish star.
Yeah. For some reason, I just completely blanked out what it was supposed to be called. But yeah, that was an interesting aspect to me with that movie, even though I don't fully am not able to contextualize yet, like how it plays into everything, if that makes sense. But that was one big aspect that I really liked about it.
I don't know. Some of the flirting never worked for me because it felt weird. Like even the famous scene of "Call me by your name," or like "If you call me by my name, I'll call you by yours," or whatever he says. It was like, I don't know. The age gap thing I thought was a harder critique. I found a newer critique, but again, I appreciated a lot more of the movie. And I think in that original review, Kyle and I were like, we didn't really vibe with it. We thought it was underwhelming. We thought it would be better and we would like it more. And to be honest, I still kind of was, I kind of went in going, maybe I missed something all these years. And I appreciated some scenes I remembered more. Quite a few things more. But at the same time, I also didn't. And I think that's okay. I don't think we were unsophisticated then. I don't think we're unsophisticated now. I think it has nothing to do with it. If you love the movie, that's incredible. Like that's the point of art. It's subjective. It's up to everybody's opinions.
Right. For
Yeah, I
me,
think. Go ahead.
well, you mentioned the "Call Me by Your Name and I'll Call You by Mine" scene. That's one of the moments that I really liked in terms of when they were together and not in their flirtatious stage. That's a dumb way to phrase it. Um, but I think why I'm not loving this movie still on the second time of watching is because when they're together, for some reason, that's where I feel more cold than I do in like enjoying the love that they have and the love that this movie is supposed to be bringing to me profusely. For some reason, when they're together, even though I'm seeing them bonding and sharing intimacy and being in love, for some reason, to me, that's where I feel more cold in moments than I do feeling this profuse amount of love that I was feeling through like the cinematography or the music, where it's giving me those types of vibes. Um, that was also dumb to say to call it vibes. Anyway, uh, I understand like in moments when they are together, like there are moments to where you're supposed to feel sad or cold, but I think throughout those scenes being shown, I was feeling more cold than I was supposed to. And for some and I still am not able to figure out why that happens to me when I'm watching those two. Maybe subconsciously it is the age gap thing. Maybe for some reason like they played off better. The two actors just played off better, like with the tug of war type of relationship that they were having. But then when they're together, maybe it just doesn't click for me all the way through. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but if I was able to feel a lot more feelings when they're together, then I would have been able to buy this movie a lot more. But for some reason, that main takeaway just still was there for me. So
It's not a relatable movie for us is just what it is at the end of the day. If it related to
could
you, an audience
could
member,
be that
good.
too.
But
Maybe
and
it's
look,
just that.
we're almost 30 now. It would be weird for it to relate because at that point we would be the Army Hammer in this situation. But
Sure, yeah.
even watching it, 6-7 years ago when we did, we were quite a bit younger and closer to an age where you should be able to relate to these characters. And I don't think you do. In fact, I mean, Timothy gets everybody, man. He still does. He gets the girl, gets rid of the girl, wants the guy, gets the guy. Guy leaves. He's sad. I have to go back to the girl I don't like. It's like, man, I can't get a girl. I got back then. I couldn't get anybody. What are we talking about here? What? How am I supposed to relate to that? I'm sorry, I have no game. No, I'm just kidding. I'm pretty sure at the time of that review, you and I were both taken. Pretty sure.
Boy, that's being nice to me. I have no idea.
If not,
I have no idea.
I know I was taken at the time, but I think you were.
I'm so alone.
It depends on that time. But I ended up appreciating the movie more, but still not. I don't think it's a masterpiece, and I think 4 Oscars makes sense. I think like it's good enough for it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to sit back and be like, like Get Out. I don't think had 1,000,000 Oscars at the Academy Awards. I think it had something like 4 or 5, and I think at that same time and frame, I would have wanted
actor,
that to get more.
Script.
Yeah, and Best Picture. So.
Oh, it did. Yeah, that's right. The cinematography one's wild to me. That one probably should have been a nomination.
Yeah, I'd have to see Mudbound. I would keep the other 4 myself, just off of memory. I might have to sit down and rewatch all 6 of these movies back to back to back to back to back to back to really grasp it. But I think the movie is good. We also like when in that review, even when we're talking positively, we sound negative, and that's what gets people. Sometimes people are just they hear it that way, and they're like, "Oh, like I probably sound more negative now, even though I appreciated the movie more." But
we were very nice to movies. Well, I guess we still kind of are, but we were really nice to movies back then. That's for sure.
Just afraid of bad comments.
Well, lesson learned.
I couldn't care.
It's gonna happen anyway.
We also have watched quite a bit more movies that come from the LGBTQ plus community over the last 6 years.
Sure. Yeah.
And this is not one I would put in my favorites, but there are quite a bit that I love so much and stories I love so much.
I mean,
So
it's also still really good, obviously, and
it's a good movie. Yeah, it's a good movie.
I understand if for that community, like this movie
Absolutely.
really hits home for them.
And if you relate
Like,
to it, and if you've had an experience like that, I totally would understand that. And I
yeah.
would have understand that back then if you had, not attacked my intelligence instead of just explain things properly in a movie. It is a thing lately I've been noticing. Not only it feels like everybody I talk to, I say, "What's your opinion on this movie?" And they don't. They say something different. They didn't answer my question. They bring in another movie, or they just say nothing. I don't understand. What are we doing? Just give me a critique. Give me a thought. Give me a bubble. You know what I mean?
Give me your real feelings. Tell me something real.
That's literally all I would ask in life. But yeah. Anything else, Kyle, or should we wrap this? I kind of liked this. Maybe we should make this a podcast episode more. Go back on some movies and re-review them. This one was just fun because it has so many negative comments.
Oh yeah, like we said, this was a very big video for us, not in terms of just views, obviously, but in terms of growth, I suppose, and also just, I don't know, I just appreciate it because it gave us a lot of views and a lot of eyes, but also gave us like honesty and feedback, not just on the movie, but also on ourselves. So
yeah,
I don't know.
It is a good movie.
I said, I think I get a better understanding now of like what made this movie click for so many people. I just wish I was one of them then, and I wish I was one now even still, although I do think I see a lot more of like the filmmaking behind it, of the thoughts behind it, a lot more of like how good the script is behind it, to where I understand like the movie a lot better than I did those years ago. That's for sure.
Yeah, I would agree to all that. I just wish I would have articulated it better because I don't think my thoughts are massively different. I think there are some, obviously with like the age gap thing issue I have now that I didn't have then, but I think just the way we spoke about it, we could have been better. But I also don't give a shit at the end of the day of anybody thinking we were unsophisticated. Calm down. Calm down.
Don't worry, people. I'm unsophisticated. I get it.
You need to have a higher opinion of yourself, poor guy.
Nah.
One of the smartest guys I know over there. Talking about. All right, guys. What'd you think,
my friend?
Yes, back then. Guys, what'd you think? Comment below. Let us know. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. This was fun. We should do more of these. May the force be with you. May the fourth be with you. That was yesterday. 2 days ago. We're on Return of the 6th by the time you'll see this. Yeah. Guys, what do you think? Comment below. Let us know. We would love to hear it. Tag all these people. I want to hear what your thoughts are now, huh? We did it. We came back to it years later. Did the opinions change? Only slightly.
But maybe we worded it better. We'll see. Who knows?
And if you didn't think we worded it better, I don't really care. So, yeah, guys, what you think? Comment below. Let us know. Thank you, Movie Mill patrons. Help us get to 2,000. Thank you. Kyle.
See you guys.
There we go.